treats as a family member. And first thing I really appreciate her in one point, that is happiness is the first solution or first medicine for any mental health issue. And she is the best person who can spread happiness by her smile. That was the best thing. I really appreciate, ma'am, and thank you so much for accepting our invitation and being with us. And we are eagerly waiting. As we belong to this place, most of the people, they are not aware of this psychology, and they don't know what kind of what is it, like applied psychology or organization psychology. They don't have different kind of categories also. So right now we are eagerly waiting for this wonderful session where we need to have a clear picture about if they want to start a career in psychology. So we are looking for that kind of information, ma'am. And thank you once again. And even being your student, I am also eagerly waiting for the session, ma'am. Thank you once again, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Thank you to both the speakers for an introduction. And it indeed is my privilege also to be here on this platform and to be specially invited by Sandra Sudhir, who has been an exceptional role model and an exceptional student all the way through. So I'm really, in fact, I speak on behalf of the entire university that we are really very proud of you, that you're doing so well and you're taking psychology way beyond just teaching and training. So thank you once again.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. And thank you. On the onset, I'd like to also thank the Impact Foundation. And I have gone through some of their videos, and they have been doing such remarkable work when it comes to educating, spreading awareness, not only about mental health issues, but so many issues and topics which have been discussed over the entire time span. So thank you, Impact Foundation, and all those associated with it to have invited me here and have given me this opportunity to interact. I'm told that they have an enormous viewership and people very keenly listen in to all their programs. So I feel really privileged and thank them for this opportunity. And yes, I also read the topic which was given to me, that was psychology as a career. And I was really very happy about it because if you just look at the topic, psychology as a career, and if you compare it with careers in psychology. So when we talk about psychology as a career, it is limitless. It widens the scope such a lot. And when you say careers in psychology, then I feel that yes, one has to restrict to what are just the job opportunities which are available to us. So I ideally wouldn't want to restrict anybody from thinking that. And as we progress through the session, you will also realize that you can turn your knowledge base of psychology into any career of your dream. And you can use it in any career. You can create a career out of that. All right. And if you're not even talking about career, we are just talking about our own life, then psychology can be used for the benefit of our life also. So psychology has got immense potential. There is no limit to it. It is how you see and how confident you feel about yourself in creating a niche in this area. So we start with what is psychology? Now, very simply putting it, psychology is the study of mind and behavior. That's about it, okay? And when we say mind and behavior, it is to do not only with humans, but it has got to do with animals also. And very soon we would be doing with the artificial intelligence coming in. We would be doing in a mind and a behavior for the androids and the robots also, which are there. Because it has been found that, yes, they are also, the higher the technology that we use and the mutative technology, so as to say, so even we find a possibility of reprogramming of androids and robots with emotions. So when that comes into play, yes, behavior, we would be learning to understand their behavior also. So you see, it is so wide, and it is here today. It has been there yesterday, and it is there in the future. So it is a futuristic subject if you just talk about it as a subject. But psychology also helps us understand and create a way of life for ourselves. So that is the impact of psychology. That is the effect of psychology on our life. Now, if you really look around you, all right, which aspect of life, which job, which career, which environment is devoid of psychology? There's psychology everywhere. So if you have a vendor on the street who is selling his or her product, they are also using psychology to attract their customers. They use psychology. So whatever they are speaking out, the way they are talking about their product is what in attracts you to them. The ads which are there on the television, anywhere, they are the ones who are attracting you, or even at times compelling you to take on a product or think in a certain way. The news which is there, all right, that affects you. So they are all taking psychology into. If you're decorating your own room, that is also where psychology comes. So you're keeping in mind what I like, what others like, how would they react, and how should I decorate so that I get a particular kind of a response from somebody. That again is psychology in use. All right. So whether you have a post which is outside your gate and it says, beware of dogs, what are you doing? You are cognitively restructuring the mind of the person who reads that into being apprehensive, being scared, or being wary of dogs. So you write beware dogs. Now, whether you have a dog at home or not, the moment you put that out there, people would be scared, would not do certain things, or would be careful when they approach the house. So that is again what? That is psychology in use. So psychology is very interesting in everything. How we sit, how we talk, how we behave, how we feel, or what words we say, and what is the effect of those words, feelings, and our behavior on others. That is what we are talking about, psychology. So whether it is me and me trying to improve on my own personality, that is a part of psychology. Now we have come to, when all this is psychology and everybody uses it, then what is the need to study psychology? Very, very true. Why become a psychologist? Very true. You can be a very good psychologist. You can be an expert on human behavior without actually studying. But yes, when you study, when you give it a structure, when it is more organized, when you go in depth and you're looking at the theories which have been formed and are applicable to human behavior, studying human mind, studying human personality, studying various theories of emotions, how we interact, our interpersonal affiliations, all that becomes a part of study. So study actually is a systematic way of approaching, understanding, and applying things. So that is why study of psychology becomes important for a person who wants to pursue a career in psychology. Having said that, yes, that means that you need to have certain qualifications to pursue such a career which is related to psychology. So yes, you need to do certain degrees, you need to have certain diplomas, certain certificate courses, or skill training, or an expertise in certain area. So, if we talk about psychology and your career as a psychologist, we will take a psychologist as the baseline and then go about the different jobs or careers which can be created. Now, to be an expert in psychology, you need to be a psychologist. So, who is a psychologist? Now, a psychologist, a person who has had a certain qualification, has studied, undergone a degree course in psychology. We do not limit it to just a bachelor's degree. It also depends on the structure of that degree. So maybe a bachelor's degree would suffice in some country, a bachelor's degree would not suffice in some country. But when we talk about India and a career as a psychologist in India, then we say, and most of the countries, we say a master's level degree in psychology is important. That is the baseline qualification that you need to have. After that, can do a higher degree, go in for a doctorate, go in for a postdoctorate. So yes, then you can say that yes, you are now qualified enough to start or work as a psychologist. But this is the baseline we set. It does not end there. Now, like any other profession, any other career, we need to have an expertise in that area. So, in order to have an expertise in that area, we further need to enhance our skills. So, we enhance our skills through practice. We enhance our skills through the special techniques that we learn, which are related to whatever we are thinking of doing. All right. So these are the way that we increase on our expertise level and the practice that we do in that area. So right now I am telling you in general what is there across all different kind of specializations or careers that we might get in. This is the basic. So we need to do this. So we need to have a PG degree in psychology. We can go in for a PhD and a postdoc, and we need to have an experience of working in that area field. We need to keep on enhancing our skills, updating ourselves through research and through addition of skills and techniques which are related to that specific area. So that is how we do specialization. That is how we go in for specialization in all the fields. So at the basic level, if I had to say you need to have a career in psychology, and what by study of psychology, what are the career that you can get into? That would be that of a psychologist. Now, basics is this, then you have different terminology, and according to your expertise, you go into different careers. So now let us discuss what are the different areas of expertise. So I will talk about different areas of expertise. What are the related professions to that? Or not even, I don't talk about the profession. I'll tell you what are the related responsibilities and roles of a psychologist in that area. And then you'll find for yourself and come and think about what could that profession be, or what can that profession be called. So if I'm a really optimistic person, and if I am very positive, I follow positive psychology. So I can say you can actually create a new job, a new profession, a new career for yourself in psychology, depending on the kind of expertise that you think of doing. All right. So we have this very wonderful, revered psychologist with us by the name of Mr. Sandra Sudhir. All right. Now, he took up the specialization of being a career counselor. Sudhir, you need to put me right if that is your area of expertise that you have chosen. He is a motivational speaker. So you see, and what has made him so successful and so good at his job? Because he had that knowledge of psychology. So with that base, he got into this area and the many other expertise that he follows and expresses. So this is how you can pick up a career for yourself. So now, if we look at the very common or the traditional careers or professions which are there, they are that of a counseling psychologist, a clinical psychologist, all right, a rehabilitation psychologist, a sports psychologist, an industrial psychologist, all right, or organizational psychologist, uh, a special educator, an educational psychologist. All right. So these are the basic. Now you see the fun part of it is that within one area of expertise, there are lot many other expertise and careers which are involved. For example, if I take, let's start with the most common one and what we all understand is that of a school psychologist. Now, within the school psychologist also, there are different laterals which are there. All right. So you can be a school counselor, psychologist, where you are just doing counseling for students, where you are doing um, where you're doing career counseling, where you're doing relationship counseling, where you are doing all kinds of counseling. All right, whatever the child needs at that time, you could be there as a coach for them, as a life coach for them, where you are giving them, you are helping them understand themselves and giving them and making helping them learn certain skills which will help them in the future. All right. You could be a person who is looking at their personality development. So you are seeing how there is a child in this school, what are the things in his personality which can be enhanced more, which are the parts which need to be mellowed down. All right. How to make the person more adaptive and functional in their environment. So the basic role of any psychologist is to make the person more adaptive and highly functional in their environment. So if we are dysfunctional, we train and help people become more functional. We look at improving their mental health. All right. We help them learn certain skills which will benefit them in their interactions with other. We help them with certain skills which could improve in their memory, which would improve their thinking. It's limitless. So according to the specific area, according to the specific need of the particular the person, according to the expertise that you have developed, you can specialize, and you can say you can segregate that from the other kind of services that a psychologist can give, and start building your experience and expertise in that area. All right. So in a school, you can be a regular school counselor who's looking at the emotional well-being of these students, helping them develop their personality, helping with the assessments which are there. So whether we want to know whether the child is a gifted child, or whether child is a backward child, whether the child has certain learning disabilities, I can build my expertise into assessments. And I do only assessments. All right, this is within the school system. Then I can also get into training. So I'm training them in life skills, I'm training them in various cognitive skills, I'm training them in emotional skills, I'm training them in behavioral skills, how to behave, how to emote, how to regulate your emotions, how to communicate well with others. All right, so these are some of the areas that I can get into and build my expertise in that. So I can look at overall, I can look at all these things, or I can also decide to specialize in any one of these areas and then call myself according to that. So I become a emotional therapist or emotional psychologist who is dealing with the emotional problems of the people. So I say that I'm affective psychologist. I call myself. That's another word that is used, commonly used. So, and if I'm teaching them life skills and giving them, training them on those life skills, then I can call myself a life skill trainer or life skill expert. All right. If I am helping the child not only in the school environment, but otherwise, and looking at their overall development and their overall well-being, I can, in all areas, spheres of life, then I can also say, and I continue with this even after they leave the school, then I could be a life coach for that individual or individuals. So you see, there's so much of possibility within the school setup which is happening. And you can specialize in any one of them, and become a psychologist, or become a person who is trained, well trained, experienced in that particular technique, area, or expertise. So you see, within every area, you can further enhance your career in a particular technique, using a particular technique. So I say that I become a rational emotive therapist. Have you all heard about that? Well, that is actually a therapy which we use for emotional counseling, one of the therapies. And if I become an expertise in that, if I learn more about this therapy, I gain more training in this therapy, then I would become a rational emotive therapist. So I start treating people using this particular therapy, and this therapy only. So I have identified my area of expertise, and now I go ahead and treat people with this. So I can treat people with this, or I can become a trainer for this particular therapy. All right. And or I can just take account this therapy in my counseling sessions and remain a counselor. Okay. And I can be within the school setup, I can also be an educational psychologist. So that is where I am developing syllabi, where I am developing the course structure, the curriculum, the developing such a schedule for children in the timetable that they are able to develop in the best possible way, not only physically, academically, emotionally, but it is also enhancing their well-being. So you see, so many jobs and so many careers within that particular school setup. Now think of any setup and convert all these and take them all these out there. Now we'll go to a drastically different area. All right. I want to be an aeronautical psychologist. And this is an upcoming field. All right. So what do I do out here? As an aeronautical psychologist, I'm helping people design the airplanes in such a way that it is most comfortable. That is what we call human engineering. This is also a part of psychology. So I'm helping in the designing part of that, where we feel that people, the pilots who would be driving, would have the perfect light, the perfect stance of what they are sitting, and will be able to best perform as pilots. And then looking at all the designs which would be there, which would make the customers feel that yes, whenever they come and they are in that structure, they are sitting in a seat, the sitting seat is as designed in such a way that they are feeling very comfortable. That is ergonomics. All right. This is also another part of psychology. So when you are taking psychology, you're taking engineering, you are taking designing, it leads to a specialized area called human engineering, ergonomics, which are there. All right. Then Again, in this aeronautical field only, when I have to look at the fatigue levels of the pilots, at what pressure, at what height, what is the kind of effect it has on their behavior, their cognitions, their thinking, their emotions. All right. Now, that is a very important aspect of study. And do you know it is being done? This is a very important part of the aeronautics field. Because without this, you will not be able to prepare the pilots to perform best in times when there is a change in the way things are, the normal way the things are, or at what an altitude, or what happens. So when we go higher and higher, when there is an increase in altitude, there is a difference in our bodily functions. There is a difference in our cognitive functions. All right. So the clarity with which we think, how we think, that is also affected. And that is part of psychology. So once we have a great understanding, an in-depth understanding of how the cognitions and how all this affects the cognitive ability, we can work as specialists in that area. So this is where psychology is, and psychologists are taken in. All right. When we talk about warfare, all right. When we talk about people being undercover agents or being part of espionages, going to the enemy territory, having to face the cells out there, becoming a prisoner of war, they all use psychology in that. So whether it is how to torture you or bring your defenses down, that they use your psychology. All right. So how to make you feel or behave, how to make you disoriented, so that you are totally away from reality, all your defenses are down, and then you are able to come up with information which is useful for them. So this is the side where it is used, psychology is used against you, all right, or for not such a good experience. But see, its importance is still there. And in the same way, when we use the same psychology for a positive, approach towards the well-being of the individual, we are doing the same thing. How a certain incidents, how a certain kind of medication has affected your cognitions, your neurological makeup, and how is it affecting your behavior, your cognitions. That is very important. Your emotions, that is also part of psychology. So we study about that in neuropsychology. That is a specialization of psychology. So we have got neurobiology, which is there, and psychology is a part of it. Then you also have, when we talk about criminals, there is criminal psychology, criminal behavior, that one. So there are criminal psychologists who are there, behavioral analysts, what we say. There are therapists. Now, therapists are everywhere, across anywhere, who are treating people with certain mental disturbances and disorders. All right, so that is a traditional one, which is always there. There also you can specialize in different therapies and call yourself that special therapist. So I'm a behavior therapist, I'm a psychoanalyst, I specialized in acceptance theory. I specialize in existential theory. I specialize in affirmative therapy. So I'm an affirmative therapist, I call myself. So that is an area which I am trying to gain knowledge and expertise in these days. So I could be able to call myself an affirmative therapist. All right. So that is where the therapist part comes, where you are treating individuals, whether they are hospitalized, institutionalized, or they're within the normal population, but require certain help. to overcome the mental or issues, the emotional issues, the disturbances, which we say. And if we go higher up in this continuum, it would be the disorders. So you have got lot many disorders, which are there: bipolar disorder, schizophrenia, the common ones which you would have heard of, social anxiety disorder, anxiety disorders, phobias. So that is another area that is where we can specialize and start up a career. Right. So these are also the different fields of psychology with are there. So in each area, each specialization not only gives us a different perspective of study and practice, it also becomes an area of specialization. So when I'm talking about relating psychology to biology, yes, that is possible. So now with the change in the educational policy which has come up, and outside, when in many of the other countries apart from India, you can match any subject of study with psychology. So you can match in law, you have psychology. Now, even when you are studying engineering, you have a paper of psychology in it, don't you? Isn't it there? So that is why understanding human behavior. So wherever human behavior is are there, in whichever profession you have people working together, the need for psychologists and psychology will be there. Now look at the corporates. All right, what is the role of the psychology and psychologist out there? Now, you would say that yes, in the HR for recruitment, psychologists are hired, but they are also hired for promotions. So if you have got, they are hired for talent acquisition, for identifying the various channels of an organization and how to use those people and their talents in such a way which is helpful for these people themselves, help them to grow in a company, help them to grow in their own skills, and also for increasing performance. It is also used as the talent acquisition is also used for, how to maximize your human resource within the organization. In other words, how to use people for more and more responsibilities and roles that one person can do. That is also there. Then it is also done to see how the employees are being affected and how we can look for their betterment. So within the organizational setup also, we have these. Counseling is there, where yes, when people are working, they are under pressure, and especially all those jobs which are highly pressurized, now they have a psychologist on their board. Even for various interviews that you go for, irrespective of which organization or which profile you are going for, you will find a psychologist there. All right. So whether it is a banking job, whether it is a job as an educator, whether it is a job in the military, you will always have a psychologist who is there. So you can be that person, that specialization you can have. Do you know that in the army, nobody is recruited, promoted without their assessment, their psychological assessment? And right in the beginning, when you enter the military as a recruit, the psychologist is able to predict whether this person, how well the person will perform under pressure, to what scale and rank rise to. So whether that person has the potential of it or not, that is right there at the time of your recruitment. That is why the SSB board, you have to pass the SSB board in order to gain entry into the army, irrespective of whichever position that you are going for. See, so you can become a military psychologist. You can train people how to work under duress, how to work under extreme pressures, how to impersonate and change their personality, and then go into war, how to take in all the horrific scenes which happen, the horrific things which happen with people, yourself, your colleagues, which is happening in a war. And they are not very good, pleasurable things. They are far from away from that. So that is a trauma that they, so you can be a trauma specialist or trauma psychologist. See, some this comes this profession, this career in psychology. So when you are working, as you say, okay, no, this is not my scene. I would not want to go into any of these areas and any of these specializations and careers. I want to work with people. I want to work for the betterment of the humanity. All right. I want to make the society a good place for everybody to live. Well, that in that also there you have the psychologists out there, and this particular specialization and this particular field is called that the field of community psychology, or a community psychologist. So how does the behavior of an individual affect the behavior of others? How does the collective experiences of people staying together, living together in a small community, be it a classroom, be it a small office, be it a city, be it a town, be it a village, or be it in a northern area or southern area or western area of the country or the globe. All right. How do these things affect the individuals staying out there? And how do the individuals of certain ethnicity of or certain culture, same culture, similar cultural backgrounds, how do they behave? How do they react and act to situations? That is what the role of the community psychologist would be. And then, on the basis of all this information that they gather, what are the interventions that they can plan? So, like we say, that the elderly are prone to, are more susceptible to depression. All right. So, that makes the elderly community. All right. And then, yes, now that we know that they are prone to depression, or what is the age, or what are the circumstances which lead to that kind of depression, we try to mitigate the effect of all these factors on the individual. We try to remove all the things which would lead to depression, or we try to help them accept those changes in their life and learn how to deal with them. All right. So there is a preventive approach, there is a curative approach to it. So when we talk about community psychology, then we say it is more a preventive approach that we are working on. So the traditional role of a psychologist was that with where one-to-one treatment, where one-to-one counseling was taking place. And then we come to the community level, where we are saying that it is not just about one-to-one treatment, one-to-one understanding, and one-to-one interventions that we are taking into account, but we are seeing everybody as a whole and how it affects that. So now you see, you have programs on televisions, you have ads, you have the government agencies promoting and creating awareness in the community about depression. Now mental health has taken importance. It is part of the policy of the government. So not only the health ministry, but otherwise also. So now awareness is being created in the community, that people are able to identify what are the issues with come and how we will be are able to deal with that, and learn certain things in ways in which we are able to deal. So yes, if we know that a crisis is approaching us, if we know that something can go wrong, then we are better equipped. So we learn things beforehand and not wait for that situation to come. So that is the preventive approach. So whether be it drug addiction, whether be it alcoholism, be it violence, be it domestic violence, All right. So things which would happen only between two people and only two people were concerned, now we see it has an impact on the entire society. All right. So drug abuse is now rampant. So it has become a community concern from an individual concern. All right. So now in this community setup also, you can do with treatment, you can do with assessments, you can do with counseling, you can be only devoted to coming up with intervention programs. So you can be a consultant and give your views on how to develop certain interventions. You can be a part of the policy advocacy group. So yes, where they are saying like the policy, there was no mention of how people with mental illness and disorders should be treated and what should be the rehabilitative processes for them. Do they need to incorporate that in the law also? So yes, now there is a law that you cannot mistreat people who have a certain disorder, mental disorder, or are not able to function at the same level as others in the society. So that is where the policy level comes. So you can become a policy maker as a psychologist. So you see, or whatever you think of, whichever is your interest, whichever is your area of expertise, you can become a specialist in that area. So it is for you to understand. And yes, obviously, for you to understand, you have to start from the basic knowledge of psychology. And that is why we say that we have these courses which have come up in psychology. So initially we just had bachelor's in psychology or master's in psychology. Now we have specializations, all that. We have a bachelor's in clinical psychology. We have bachelor's in applied psychology. So applied psychology talks about all the fields which are related to psychology. So you get an information, you increase your knowledge on that. How can we apply it? Now, all these that we have talked till now, they are all applied fields. Why we call them applied? Because psychology has been applied to the area of biology. Psychology has been applied to psychological principles. The theories have been applied in the field of engineering. They have been applied in the field of law. They have been applied in the field of uh, even management. They have been applied in the field of hotel management. They have been applied in the field of the health services which are there. All right. So all these become applied areas. And if we are not just limited to treating people within the clinical setup, all these are the possibilities for us. So they are limitless. I can go on and on and on and on. You can think of any area, and then apply your psychology knowledge, your principles, psychology principles, the tools on that, and become a success, take on a successful career in that. Now we come to the fact that yes, in India as of now, we all are following rather the traditional careers which are related to psychology, though there have been a lot many changes in that also. So you do have sports psychologist, which is relatively a new field. So when you talk about Abhinav Bindra, we take him as we do mention his example because he was the person who recognized the importance of psychology in winning. All right. So he employed a psychologist for himself who would help him in understanding, in working under pressure, not giving in becoming more resilient. All right. In keeping the right frame of mind, what to focus. All right. How to detach yourself from others at a particular time and yet be able to come up with the best possible performance at that time. So it was because, and he has himself mentioned it in his interview, that that is what made him more unique. That is what gave him an edge over others. So now you have all these sports person who either have as their agencies have hired a psychologist, or they have their own personal psychologist. And actually, if you look at it, whenever we have any physical ailment, all right, be it a small pain in my finger, a toothache, or I'm not able to see properly, my eye muscles are strained because I'm so much on the laptop or the mobile at all the times, don't we go and do something about it? Doesn't it come to a thought that yes, we need to do something about it? And then we go and visit a specialist dealing with that kind of treatment, health treatment? In the same way, it is required for psychology also. And because we are not addressing all these issues, all right, we are not accepting some of the problems which arise in our life, and in it will arise in everybody's life. We're not ready to address them. That is why we see a rise in so much of disturbances, mental health disturbances. I wouldn't call illness and disorder, I will put it milder, and I'll say disturbances. That is why we are feeling so sad suddenly, or we are feeling very happy about small, small things. We are always into praise, or we are always feeling guilty. Some a little shift in our life, and we are totally distraught. And that is why we think of suicide, we think of ending our lives, because we have not built that emotional strength in us. And emotional strength does not mean denying your emotions. Mind you, it is certainly something different. So we need to understand that also. So, yes, when we are doing that, that opens up the possibility of more job opportunities. Even we are not talking about, we have, do you know that there is something also called as a pain psychologist, who's looking just at the reasons behind your pain and working on it and helping you overcome that. So you see, that can also be a specialization. Now you say everybody undergoes pain. What is the difference? But I am specializing in that. So when we talk about careers in psychology, it is, again, I repeat, limitless. Because even if we look at the job scenario right here now, as of today, we are hopelessly short of mental health experts, professionals. All right. So be it even as counselors you see in the school, not every school till date has got a counselor, though there are rules and regulations. There are certain boards which make it mandatory, but still. So to say that there are very less jobs in psychology, I would not agree to it. To say that they are not good paying jobs, I would not say to it. I would not agree to that also. You not say that psychology is not an area of the future. I would definitely not agree with it. Look at where we were and where we are today, just in terms of the mental illness, or the not, or the depleting mental well-being of an individual. So that in itself has created so many job opportunities. It is sorry to say that, but that is what has happened. All right. So now, the more we progress in a society, the more we develop our understanding of people around us, the more and more educated we become. Similarly, new and new areas, new and new specializations will come up. So who thought of a counseling psychologist or a marriage psychologist, that you need to even go and visit them? Who thought of a relationship psychologist? This was all which was dealt with within the house. So 20 years ago, 40 years ago, this concept just wasn't there. Was this concept there at the time of our great grandparents, grandparents? Maybe not. It was not there. All right. But now it is now it is one of the important things, which are very essential things that we need to have. because the dynamics have changed, because the society altogether has gone a lot of transformation. There is a difference in our value system. There is a difference in the technology that we use. So it is not people who say, oh, psychology is related to values and just the humanities. No, it is very much related to technology, how technology has affected us, how we use technology. All that has put an impact on our mental health along with the physical health. So now, if we are focusing on physical health, why are we not focusing on our mental health? And the moment we realize and wake up to this, our potential becomes limitless. So we come up with new and new careers and new job opportunities. So yes, before I end what I have said, careers in psychology as a career is definitely a futuristic career. There is a lot of opportunity is there. But far from that, it also depends on how you look at it, what is your take on that, and how confident you are about it. So, irrespective of how many degrees that you add on, all right, if you are not passionate about that work, that job, that role, you would never be a success. All right. So success is how you look at it. So maybe there is a certain career which does not exist as of now, but you can, if you think you have the potential, you have built on an expertise, you can. Right. So I guess with that, I open the floor to questions which are there. I would request the organizers to take over. And if there are any queries, if you want me to add on something, I hope I took a holistic approach to this. I have not talked about the specific careers because Dr. Google will tell you all about it. I have tried to incorporate which you will not get on the net, all right? Or I have tried to make it more simpler for you to understand, because as I was told that there is not much clarity about psychology and its applied field. So I've tried to weave that in. I hope you all have understood. The organizers, please.
Ma'am,
Happy.
thank you so much, ma'am. Sorry, I would like to ask two questions on behalf of this Impact Foundation and on normal organizers, like those who are already
But why
participating
are
in
you
this.
saying
Yes, ma'am.
sorry? But why are you saying sorry? Why did you start with that sorry? There was nothing to be sorry about. Please ask a
Yeah,
question. I'm
thank you.
there for that
Thank you,
only.
ma'am.
And you are there to do
Sure.
your task of asking the question. So go right ahead.
That's fantastic and so nice of you. And first thing is, whenever we do psychology or whenever we say that I'm pursuing psychology or I'm a psychologist, most of the people, even educated or illiterate also, they used to ask one simple question that, could you please read my mind? Could you please read my mind? This is the first question. And second thing is, most of the people, even they're posting the same question in the chat box that is it okay to do psychology in distance mode or instead of going with regular mode? What is the difference between regular mode and correspondence or distance learning? Because most of the people, they are doing distance learning education here, that too particularly in psychology. These are the two questions, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
All right, good. I'll take on the first question first. Can you read my mind? All right. Yes, that is also very true, but not true also. All right, because I'm not God. All right, I do not know what goes inside your mind. But yes, on the basis of understanding and having a knowledge of how people think under certain circumstances, how their thoughts are affected. All right. On the basis of this knowledge, which I gained through my understanding of psychology, through my programs that I have undergone, my study area, I can predict what is possible. See, if we were able to predict each and everything, then we would have predicted most of the things that are there in the world and how people act, behave, and do that. But yes, psychology actually can do that. And I'll tell you, there is another field of psychology, which, if you just look at the face, all right, and you have got facial expressions, all right, most of us can read that. All right, that is common knowledge. But you also know that when we are posed with a certain kind of a question or a situation, we react in three, four ways. One, we react physically. All right. One, we react emotionally through our feelings. One, we react cognitively. And when I talk, we react physically. Now, all this is linked. All right. It is like a circuit, a wire. So you cannot cut. This entire circuit is the same. One would lead to the other. My thoughts would lead to a particular kind of a feeling, and my particular kind of a feeling would lead to a particular kind of reaction. Now, you put any in the first or the second order, all three are connected. All right. So now if you look at my face and my facial expressions, there is a field in which when I ask you a question, a slight twitch of your muscle, very slight twitch, which you and me are not able to see otherwise. All right. That is reflective of what you are thinking. Whether the lie detector is an example of that, what does it do? It takes into account all these reactions, all these bodily reactions. And on the basis of that, we are able to say whether the person is lying or not. All right. So where it with angle I'm looking at, my glance, whether it is right, up, down, left, up, down, on the basis of that also, I can predict what you are thinking. All right. And how would you behave? So yes, but that comes through expertise, all right, through your thorough knowledge in that field. So yes, that
Yes,
is
ma'am.
the answer to
Yes,
the
ma'am.
question. It can be, but not everybody can read. You have to be an expert in that. Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Then the
And the
second question,
second
like,
question, yes. The second question was regarding distant education, and doing it online, doing it through on a remote teaching mode, or doing it in a program where you are supposed to interact daily, go and do things. Well, it also depends on, I would not say that, obviously, see, when you are there with people and people are there in front of you, all right, you learn a lot. You learn a lot from observation. Observation is a very strong tool of learning, and it is a very strong tool for a psychologist. All right, so when you are interacting face to face, be it with your teachers, be it with your classmates, be it with the places where you are going to have an understanding of people, then this interaction, face to face interaction, becomes very important. But if it is just, and it depends on what you are trying, for what you are trying to assess or gain that knowledge, to gain or add that degree. So if it is just that you want an add-on on your degree and you want to understand the basics, then I would say yes. And distant education mode is also fine. All right. But for distance education mode also, you have contact classes which are there, and you're supposed to do a project. All right. So that is the applied aspect of psychology. That is how we get to know that, yes, you have taken the material, you have read, we have given you certain lectures on that also, but how have you understood that, and whether you will be able to apply it? That is why we have projects. All right. So in that case, it is fine. But then, for example, like in Amity University, we have this syllabus which is designed to take into account the practical aspects of psychology. So whatever we are doing in the class, are we able to apply it? So we have got, for example, when a student in graduation, they come, they have something called the practical aspect as observational study. So they go to places where they can observe people in a particular setting and understand. So what they have understood as theory, they're understanding, going there, observing and understanding. At that level, observation is the only kind of intervention that we allow, because they are not an expertise. They don't have that expertise. But when they go into higher studies, when they go in the master's level or the MPhil level, then this kind of an exposure increases. So where they are also going and participating as assistants in the mental health services. Now, here also depends on the interest that you have and the knowledge that you have. So in that way, this kind mode of teaching becomes important. And obviously, psychology is a professional field. So whenever we're talking about a professional field, we need to have some practical skills. So we need to have face-to-face interaction for that. We give our students, we let our students go and get engaged in workshops. So workshops are other ways of adding on to your skills. So they learn from the expert who's coming, the therapist they are facing. So we have counseling sessions which are there. So we have a counseling cell which is there, counseling sessions taking place. So even if you are not doing counseling, you are observing and then learning. And then when you go to the higher classes, you also get to practice that. So this is the difference between distant education and your on-campus education that you get. So when it comes to learning those practical skills, I would advise the on-campus programs that you go for them. But in Corona, I don't know. Right now, it is not on campus. It is online that we are going. Yes.
In this regard, I would like to add one more point, ma'am. I'm really fortunate. I'm truly blessed to do my master's in MIT University, particularly because I have done my master's for 2 years. In that 2 years, out of 4 semesters, each and every semester, I used to do internship outside the campus. That is a practical kind of education. This is what actually a psychologist need. So that's really, I'm truly blessed to do my master's with such a wonderful faculty where they never taught something from books. They always teach something from their experiences and the practical way of teaching. That's really amazing, ma'am. So that is what MIT University is best in that.
Yes, so universities like this are doing, and see, the government has also realized this. The current education policy which has come, this also focuses on skill training. So wherever skill training is required, you can't just sit behind a screen and learn it. So even if I know everything which is there on how to ride a bicycle, till the time I don't ride a bicycle, I will not be able to do that job. So, and when I ride a bicycle, I know that how much tilt I have to give to one side to scrape my way through a very narrow space. So that would not come if I'm just reading from the books or sitting behind a screen and doing that. So that is important.
Any other questions from chat box?
Yes.
Can I take 1 to 2 questions from the chat box?
Yes.
Yeah, I will read out like just a while. Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, few people are asking like, could you please suggest some books? Because maybe we are not ready to go for a distance or a regular mode of psychology. Could you please refer some books where a common people, like normal person also understand the basic psychology? Could you please refer some books, ma'am?
Yes, you please go to pdfdrive.com where you will get access to ebooks free of cost. All right. And there you type Introduction to Psychology, because that is what you want to know. So when you type Introduction to Psychology, you just go through the books, depending on the language which is there in the books. All right. You will feel more comfortable, whichever book you feel more comfortable in reading and understanding, you pick that book. All right. So I will not give you a particular name, because when Introduction to Psychology, you will get good material on that. All right. So whatever suits you, you pick that up. Right. So there are many authors, but I believe that that book which you are able to understand better is the one that you should pick on. So go and type Introduction to Psychology. You'll get 3-4 books. You just go through them. and see which one, and you can download it.
Ma'am, thank you, ma'am. And one more thing I would like to add for this education policy, as they started with the skill development program, in India, particularly most of the rural places, they are lagging with skills. Their Impact Foundation, this is the only platform for the past 24 years. They are spreading the skill development program by extending through online or to directly. What are the skills lagging from the school? This Impact Foundation is providing that skills for free of cost to all the unemployed or to the students particularly. So I'm really fortunate and proud to say that I'm associated, and this is my mother organization. Because of Impact Foundation only today, who I am, what you are seeing, that is absolutely because of Impact Foundation, ma'am. So I think like skill development program already Impact Foundation is doing for both Telugu states, ma'am. That's really amazing.
Yes, I can see that is really very wonderful. And that is why I'm also very grateful for Impact Foundation that for inviting me and doing so many skill enhancement programs. And I hope that in the field of mental health also, that you help and promote and create this awareness. Because unfortunately, in our country, even with the educated, this awareness is not there. So we would not want to stick ourselves or limit ourselves to the urban. It should go to the rural area also. And there's been so much of advancement, and that's really, really remarkable. Impact Foundation, a commendable job that you all are doing. Wonderful. I see there are a lot many questions which are there in the chat box, which are there. So maybe if you all want them to be answered, you all can mail them to me. I will take out time and answer them, and then you all can.
Ma'am, could you please share your mail ID so that they will send their questions, ma'am? So maybe they won't get disappointed in that case.
All right. It is D for doctor.
Yes, ma'am.
R for race. D-R-P, P as in princess.
Oh.
D as in doctor. A as in apple. N as in nest. G as in God. W as in watch. A as in apple. And L as in lion. So it is drpdangwal@gmail.com.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. And last, I would like to add one more thing, ma'am. The last and final question from the audience, that is the psychology right now in this present situation, in this COVID situation, or else in the normal situation also, people are ready to take care of their physical health. But how? Because most of the people are not aware of to take care of their mental health. In that case, how we would suggest taking a first aid treatment, or else how to take care of their mental health. So could you please explain in this regard, and we will conclude, ma'am.
Okay, wonderful. That's a very pertinent question. See, we don't have to offlize the situation and make it sound that, yes, this has led to grave mental illness amongst people. But yes, we have to realize that because there has been a change, sudden change in the way that we were doing things, we were moving about that, and there was in the beginning a level of uncertainty which was there. So obviously this will create and would have created a lot of anxiety in us. For some, it created a lot of anxiety. For some, it created a little bit of anxiety, but it created anxiety amongst all. And I'll give you a small example of that. When we stopped going out, like I'm a working person, so every day at a particular time we go out and come back, and our life is set that way. All right, so that was a routine that we were following. Now the routine was disturbed in the sense it totally changed. All right. So now you are within the confines of your home with the family members who were previously you were not spending so much of time with. Now you are spending time with. And with that constraint has come the constraint of space also. And yet we are supposed to work and function in all these changed circumstances. So, there was a sense of uneasiness which I could not place in the beginning. So at times I felt, I need to do a little bit of deep breathing. So that was what was anxiety, a little bit of anxiety which had come. And it had come from the sheer fact that the mobility that I had, that had come to a standstill. All right. So this is an example of, because of this physical change, how my mental, there was a change in the way that I perceived thing, and it affected my level of anxiety. All right. Similarly, there were not many other things which would have happened. Uncertainty brings in. So we need to accept that. And now that we know, okay, yes, there will be a little bit of uneasiness. We would not be allowed to do things, or we cannot do certain things which otherwise would be very pleasurable for us. But now there are certain restrictions. So when we realize that, we all right take a stance of that situation. We see what all we can use in this particular environment to not bring that anxiety in us, to still feel that yes, we are doing something. Many of us felt, and we had a lot many complaints where they felt that they felt useless. Everybody got the feeling of uselessness, that suddenly I am worth nothing. So imagine having that feeling. That is a very strong emotion. So that is also not good. But then we must realize, pacify, and accept that, okay, this is only for the time being till this exists. This is not going to exist all the way. There will be, we should have that faith in ourselves, in our government, in our scientists, everywhere, that they will come up with something. Technology is very advanced today. All right, we think, oh, there is a problem today and there's something else tomorrow. All right, if you don't believe me, just look at the level of the amount of different models of the cell phone which should come every 2, 3, 6 months. Why? This is what? This is advancement. So what is not working in another, they make something which would work better than. So when we are able to do that, we need to do that with ourselves also. We need to make ourselves something called as resilient. Okay, there are troubled times. Yeah, it is easy for us to say that, but there are many who are facing a lot of hardships because of this. So, but then this is a phase. And yes, I should have that faith in me that once this phase is over, no matter how hard, I will be able to go ahead and do certain things which will again return my safety and security. All right, will help me with my economic accomplishments. All right, so we must have that faith, be calm, do a lot of deep breathing, drink a lot of water, maintain a healthy diet, because now our movement is restricted, so we can't go in for all those rich diets that we have. So we need to do that also. And if we are able to do that, maintain our peace, and not, we know we will be, shaken up from time to time, but we realize that and give enough time to ourselves to become back to our peaceful self. Do not react too much to situations. People have complained that there is a lot of fighting which is happening between siblings or families. Why is it so? Because we till now have not understood that yes, there are certain things which are going inside us, and they create this uneasiness, or they create this reactivity in us. So, but if we realize this is what is happening. So having certain thoughts, being unhappy, thinking that, yes, oh my God, it is so difficult to go on with life momentarily is fine. It's okay. We need to realize that also, and then move ahead. But it will change. So be positive, have belief in yourself, have belief in your system, have belief in your government system, in your religious system. Think of God, think of all the good things that you have done till now. All right, you are capable of it. You can do wonders, and have that no matter what. Yes, you will succeed. There is always a brighter day. All right. So even if it is rainy, it is shady, it is gloomy today, there would be many, many different seasons which we have to look for. So
Ma'am,
in these
thank you.
times, stay calm, try to stay as happy as you can, and develop those relationships which you did not think of till now or didn't have the time.
Ma'am, thank you so much, ma'am. That's wonderful inputs. Like each and everything you have explained in detail. Maybe most of the things even I am not aware of that, like aeronautical psychology or this kind of things. I'm not aware of that. Like today, I got some knowledge and some insights from this session, ma'am. And I can proudly tell you one thing. This week, actually, we have planned that is Mental Health Week. In this regard, actually, for the past 7 days, we have invited so many psychologists for this particular session, and today also we are glad we have a wonderful person who have ignited with such a wonderful information, ma'am.
Thank
Really,
you
we are
so
so
much.
blessed, ma'am. And
yes, and I hope I didn't bore the audience so much. You know, more than a psychologist, I am a teacher also, so I have this habit of talking too much. So I apologize.
ma'am, not at all, not at all. Ma'am, on
It's
behalf of
been
Impact
wonderful.
Foundation,
Thank you.
and on behalf of my Guruji, Mr. Gampa Nageswar sir, and all the participants, I extend my special thanks. And thanks will be a small word because such a wonderful information, because most of the people are not aware of each and every point, whatever you shared. So today, this session is such a wonderful insight, ma'am. Definitely, we will add this inputs in our life and we'll make our life so beautiful. Thank you once again for accepting our invitation and giving your valuable time, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Absolutely, my pleasure. Thank you so much, Sudhir. Thank you, Impact Foundation. Thank you, Shitaranji, who had called me up. And thank you, your Guruji, my reverence to him, for making you believe and do things that you want to do and becoming such a wonderful person. Thank you all. Namaste.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Have a
Thank you,
wonderful
Namaste,
day. Stay blessed.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
ma'am. Thank you. So nice of you, ma'am.